Hello, my name is Francis Panula, and I'm a recovery coach and personal development coach based outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And today I'm back with another video, and actually had a different topic planned, but as I came down to this little park here in Pennsylvania to film this video, there was an older gentleman that was walking along the road, and I'm kind of scoping out a spot I could film, so I'm looking at, different areas, and I walk down, and I come back, and I'm like, oh, it's a beautiful day. And he's like, oh, yeah, it is. And he goes, what do you have a backpack for? Because I have a little backpack with me. And I said, well, I'm filming a video. I have equipment with me, like a little tripod, and I'm going to film it. And he said, oh, for what? And I said, oh, I have a YouTube channel. And he was a bit confused. And I said, well, I make videos kind of helping people with either, different personal development, mental health, recovery coaching, different things like that. And he goes, oh, mental health, I have some problems with that myself. And I said, unfortunately, a lot of people do. And he said, a lot of times I want to just sit inside and watch TV. I really don't want to do anything. Like, what do you do for that? And there's a couple different strategies that I use. And one thing I said, try and, make an appointment with yourself. I said, I actually wanted to be down here a little bit earlier currently. So it's like 11:30 right now, and I'd wanted to be down here around like 10:30, but I was sitting there actually, comfy at home doing something, and it was like, you know what, I don't need to leave right this moment. But eventually by like 11 o'clock, I was like, okay, I told myself I was going to leave at around 10:30. We're down there at 10:30. You've already given yourself an extra like 30 minutes to an hour to relax and enjoy yourself. So it's time to get moving. And I think that simple phrase like the keeping appointments with yourself. And when the last videos I made, I had discussed, going with your schedule, not your feelings. And, is if there's no reason why you can't do something, if you're, there's nothing impeding you, there's no real big challenge or obstacle in the way, it's just you, getting up and doing it, getting up and moving, it's, that initial hurdle, and just acknowledging, accepting that you may not feel fully 100% motivated in the moment, but that, like I told him, body in motion stays in motion, a body at rest wants to stay at rest, and that it's easier if you're already sitting there comfy watching something on the TV to keep doing that. But once you, get up and take those initial few steps, get your body kind of moving, and once you're in it, it's a lot easier to take that momentum and just keep going with it, so he said, unless, the other day he had to get up and clean up a cup of coffee that he spilled. That was most activity he said he got in that day. And I said, sometimes suppose you clean up that cup of coffee and now you're like, hey, while I'm up, while I'm at it, why don't I check something else out or try and do something else? And then, he apparently really likes getting out to parks. And he's like, oh, have you been down this park? Do you come here frequently? And I actually told him the other park I usually go to. I said, I usually go to this park, but I wanted to come down here and check out something different. But even it's something to do to get out of the house, to check out all your different local parks, if that's what you enjoy, is being in nature, which he said he really gets a lot out of being outside, with just that initial process of just getting himself off his couch, out of his house. But that he has his, I was telling about the parks area. He's like, I really want to start checking out different parks. So, hey, that could be an appointment with yourself, that it's not like weather related, which one of the reasons I haven't been outside filming videos, it's been so rainy here in May in Pennsylvania. That was originally my video discussion, and I'll have to do another video next time, which it can't rain all the time, because, when life is rainy, when things are difficult, that I acknowledge it can't rain all the time. It can't be difficult all the time. And that, after periods of these storms, that you get these nice, gorgeous, beautiful days outside that we can get to enjoy. So whether it's through the winter, whether it's through a rainy May, that I just remind myself that there will be beautiful sunny days in the future. And that's really what helps me get through a lot of this stuff, but as far as just getting off your couch, getting out there and doing stuff, whether it's, I still go walking at the gym. I'm just not going to film on the treadmill. But staying active, getting yourself involved in different activities that you enjoy, things that are meaningful to you, because if it's something that's not really meaningful or enjoyable to you, you're less likely to want to stick with it. So if walking nature beats walking on the treadmill, then hey, get outside. I'd much rather walk outside if I can, but I still try and keep myself physically active for health reasons, mostly, but just to, stay feeling in touch with my values and the things that I want to do in life, and to, spend my energy and my time wisely. I have another video idea coming up, and that is, time is the one resource you don't get back. So I try and use my time wisely, and I don't want to spend it all just sitting at home watching TV. I can't spend it all the time in the park, but I like to have this balance of periods of rest, periods of activity. The last couple weekends I didn't film because I was doing stuff with like family, and got to see my little nieces and nephew and all, and to make sure that the things that I truly value, the things that are fundamental to my life, that I'm taking the time to spend in those areas and putting forth the energy, because these are things that are really important to me. So as I get older, when I'm that gentleman's age, that I can look back and feel that I've spent my time wisely. I don't just want to work all the time. I don't want to do anything just hit one note all the time. So finding that balance in my life where I can pursue these different interests and, be a help to other people. As I was talking to older gentlemen, I was thinking, even if I didn't get to film the video today, it would be worth it coming down here just to spend a few minutes talking to him. That hopefully that our conversation benefit him in some way, because that's really what this is all about. For me, it's not about having a giant channel, making money. I'm really about trying to help people. I would love to I try and get compensated for my work where I can, but really it's about how can I spread the things that I learn, the things that I learned through clients, the things that we all experience together. How can I spread some of this knowledge just to make the world a little bit better place? That way, somebody that's struggling with mental health and that, he said, kind of sometimes feels like the walls are closing in on you. How do we find that motivation? How do we find the resources? How do we find our supports? Like, luckily, this older gentleman drove. So I asked him, I said, "Oh, do you drive?" Because I saw another vehicle here. And he said, "Oh, yeah." I said, "Well, there you go." I said, "You have the freedom at least to go where it is that you want." So it's not like that stopping him. Suppose he didn't drive, it might be harder to go see these parks. But I ask myself, like, what's stopping me with something I want to do? What are my obstacles? What are my barriers? And that's really with personal development, personal growth. Like, that's what we're trying to, figure out, is how can we achieve the thing that we're trying to achieve? So it's sometimes by recognizing what are your resources, what are your barriers, what are your obstacles, who can help you, all these different things, that we can make this, this thing a reality. And they have this phrase like SMART goals, specific, measurable, I think attainable, realistic, and timely. I'm probably messing that up. I just come up with this. There's no script. I don't edit these, so this is all just knowledge in my head and through my experience, but luckily, like I told this guy, that's what I do. He asked me what I do for a living. And I said, well, I actually work with men in the justice system through mental health court, recovery court as a main job. I do private coaching on the side. I volunteer at a shelter in Trenton, New Jersey, with some men there. I just try and just be of help. And then even in my own life, like whether I'm at the park or I'm at a party, when I'm at a party and people ask what I do and I explain what I do, next thing you know, I'm talking to them about their own struggles, their own issues, a family member, how can they get them assistance? Like, it's literally, this is what I do. It's my bread and butter. And I've accepted that, part of me living my values and me making up for, some of the areas in my life before I may have fallen short, especially in like active addiction, I try and be of service to people now. And how can I use my time wisely to, to help others, while still having a good time myself. And that's why I'm happy to be out here on this beautiful day outside, also filming a video, getting to talk to that gentleman, and, hopefully help somebody with this video here. As always, if you're interested in one-on-one coaching, which I'm getting better at plugging myself, there's progress on my end because I'm still uncomfortable with it. But feel free to reach out to me through my website, premiumpersonaldevelopment.com, or my email address, francisp@premiumpersonaldevelopment.com, or like comment here, what have you. All right. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.